What is up, guys? Welcome to Supercars of London. Hope you're having an amazing day, and welcome to a very wet day 2 in ownership of my 2017 Nissan GT-R. As I said in my collection video, I've never driven a Nissan GT-R on the road, only ever driven a model year 2017 on track. So I thought what I would do is check in with you guys 24 hours after collection, 66 miles later, and talk to you exactly how I've been feeling about experiencing the ownership of Nissan GT-R for the first 24 hours and giving you guys an honest review of what it's been like. Escaping the traditional British weather then, and inside the interior of the 2017 Nissan GT-R. And as I said in the collection video, the facelift in 2017 revolutionized the exterior and the interior of the Nissan GT-R and fundamentally ironed out all of the little gripes that GT-R owners had. And one of the biggest differences that you will find in 2017 Nissan GT-Rs onwards is this new interior. And from a point of view perspective, the first thing that I noticed when I got in this car is how high you sit. Now, I've got electric seat controls here, but I am at the lowest setting. I don't know whether you guys enjoy sitting as low to the floor as possible. Whenever I get in a car, I literally will put the seat to the floor to make me feel like I am fully connected to the road. The biggest, I would say, initial problem that I had with sitting in the Nissan GT-R is how high you sit and how much taller you feel like you're in, even though the GT-R itself is quite a low slung car. It's a big car, but it's not exactly a tall car. It's actually a lot lower than my BMW M2, but I can lower the seat in my M2 much lower than I can lower this seat. And this is the Prestige spec, so it's not the Recaro spec. So you'd like to think that you have a little bit more customization in the seats. I mean, I can turn all of the seats to go back and completely kill the people that are sitting in the rear seats of the GT-R, but actually no one can fit in there anyway. So even though this is the Prestige car, you can go forward, you can go back, you can raise your hips, nothing else is raising, and then you can lower it. But I haven't found a little setting to be able to drop the seat closer to the floor, which is a little bit frustrating. And also there isn't much flexibility in the movement of the steering wheel as well. So if I was to customize the steering wheel, actually there is. I didn't release it the whole way when I picked it up yesterday. Yeah, actually. Yeah, that's much better. One of the first things that I do, whether it's my car, a press car, a car that I'm borrowing, is I will always pair my iPhone with the Bluetooth so that I can play my own music and then customize the sound system. To me, sound systems is incredibly important. I listen to a lot of music and I love my music. My expectations of the whole car were quite low because of the Nissan brand. But actually, you hear that differential working? Everything is mechanical in this car, unless it's just broken and I just think that it's raw authenticness. It could just be broken. But I paired my phone. This has got the Bose surround sound, which you'd hope is good. But the one thing that I think lowered my expectations a little bit is the fact that this is still a Nissan. And I was blown away by the speaker system. I was blown away with the bass, the treble, how much you were able to customize the setting, to the point where I listened to my music pretty much full blast. Now, out of the cars that I've owned, I've had a Mercedes AMG GTS with Burmester, I've had two BMW Harman Kardon systems, one in the M3, one in the M2 Comp. I'm not that impressed by the M2 competition Harman Kardon sound system, but this is so much better than that, as you're going to learn throughout the rest of this video, in just the 66, now 68 miles that I've done in this car, this is slowly becoming my favourite car that I currently own, and potentially that I've ever owned. And the BMW M2 Comp was always supposed to be my daily, but actually, this might be a better daily than the M2 Comp. I've got it in comfort mode. I've got the suspension in comfort mode. and it is far more compliant, soft, and feels dampened than the M2 comp, even as stock, because my neighbour has an M2 comp with the stock suspension, and this is definitely a lot softer and more forgiving, but you can still throw it into corners, even in comfort mode, and feel like it's stiff. There is minimal body roll. The suspension was a real pleasant surprise, especially because I'm going to be doing quite a lot of driving like this through the winter when the weather's like this. Yes, we've got all-wheel drive, but still, I do kind of like comfort suspension. Everyone bangs on about the road presence of Nissan GT-Rs. I don't really talk about it too much on the channel. They've not featured enough on my channel, either from a owner's perspective, as in me filming someone else's car that is an owner, or just generally having the opportunity of driving a Nissan GT-R. Nissan GB's insurance is 30 and over, which is why I've really had limited experience driving this car from Nissan themselves. But actually, the road presence of it is very well known and infamous within the GT-R community, and every time I see one on the road, I always look at it and I'm like, yeah, okay, it looks cool. But the road presence is there because the car's so big. It's wide, it's long, it's chunky. It's not really a sleek car. It's quite a unique looking thing in terms of its size and shape that always catches my attention. This does get a lot of attention on the road. A lot of people want to race me all the time, I've noticed, in the 24 hours. But actually, you do also notice the size. At slow speeds, it's a little bit clunky and clumsy to move around. I think that's something to do with the gearbox, which I'm going to go on to. But the size of it, on these sorts of roads, in and around little cities and towns, I think you would struggle to daily drive this in the likes of central London or big city. But luckily I've got the opportunity of having motorways and I can get pretty much wherever I need to. It's fine. Unless you live in the centre of London, I think it's going to be a bit of a problem. But other than that, pretty good. Gearbox, it's only got 6 gears, which I probably should have foreseen, and that is how little research I've done on the car and how much I know about the car in general. It's kind of eluded me over the years. But when I first got onto the motorway and the revs started to build up as I wanted to accelerate past 65 onto 70, maybe to 75, I realised it wasn't changing into 7th gear, and the revs just started to build up, making the interior noise quite loud. That was one thing that I picked up on. The other thing that I picked up on is the valves open at around 2,500 RPM in any mode whatsoever, which is very cool. But when you've got 6 gears and you're on the motorway, the valves will open and they will stay open, and that just creates a not very comforting GT Grand Touring experience, is what I'm trying to get at. But on the plus side, when you want to push on in this car and you want to just go for it, you want manual, you want all of the sportiest settings, which I'm assuming down here is traction off and everything else in R, then it's amazing, because it really feels quite authentic, even if I just put it into manual now. That sound is awesome. The V6 properly rumbles. You get a few turbo whooshes as you go, but it is impressive and it's real. Doesn't feel like it's being pumped through the speakers. If it is, then Nissan have done a great job of making you feel like you're not. But I've actually had a friend drive alongside me whilst we were doing some GoPro footage, and he said it was really loud from the outside of the car. So for a stock car, you can have it in automatic. It's very quiet. The road noise isn't too bad, even though it's got very big tyres and it's 4-wheel drive. But to drive around in, it's really comfy. And that's why I go on to say that actually it's probably a better daily than my M2 competition. And when I was looking at the price difference, so this is around £60,000, my M2 competition around £45,000. This is fantastic value for money. The M2 competition is great value for money, but I feel like it kind of stops at hot hatch. It's kind of like an okay sports saloon performance car. Whereas this is an out and out supercar killer, supercar performance with the practicalities that the M2 has. And actually, when you look at it from a financial point of view, putting these cars on finance like I do through Magnitude Finance, who have sorted this car out, it would be a no-brainer to go after a Nissan GT-R, potentially over a BMW M2, if your budget allowed you to do that. I would say this is more than 50% better than the M2, which then, when you're looking at value for money, works out to be good value for money. So overall, 24 hours in, I am massively impressed with this car. I think it is awesome. It's got quite heavy tints, as you've probably been able to tell from this video. But overall, massive thumbs up from Nissan and Scuderia Prestige. And also, the icing on the cake, adding this to my insurance policy with First Point is not as expensive as you thought. When I had my BMW M3 and I set up my first ever insurance policy through First Point act as the broker and then go and find the right specialist premium provider, my M3 was 1,600 quid for the year, and I thought, that's quite expensive. I went on to compare the market just to double check, and yeah, First Point were cheaper, which is why I went with them. But then obviously over the years I've realised that really you do need someone that knows what they're talking about when it comes to insurance cars. So I called up First Point and I said, I'm thinking about getting a Nissan GT-R, got the Lambo, got the M2. What is it going to cost me to add the Nissan GT-R to that policy? £1,000 for 12 months. That's it. And my girlfriend is insured on this car. She doesn't know that yet, but when she watches this video, she'll want to drive it. Shouldn't have said that, really. Might have to take that bit out of the video. But honestly, overall, I think my expectations were very low of the quality of the interior. I think I just had this Nissan image in my head that for some reason it just wasn't going to be how you would expect a normal 60,000, 70,000 pound German car to be. I thought it was going to be slightly less quality. It's not. It all feels very good. The steering turn-in is phenomenal. The power is good. The performance is there. I am very happy, and I'm a very happy man that I've gone down the route of finally buying a Nissan GT-R. And basically, I wanted to create this video because if you're out there and you're considering buying one of these cars, you're umming and ahhing, there's a lot of cars that you can choose from in the £60,000 price bracket. I would say go for a GT-R. I genuinely would. Before I bought this car and before I owned it for 24 hours, I probably would have said go for an older Audi R8 or an AMG GT or even a C63. But actually, this ticks far more boxes than I thought that it would and was expecting it to. So even though the weather sucks, we haven't really been able to fully eke out the full potential of what this GT-R is capable of. On the Piloti Roadtrips, hopefully we will be able to do that. Fingers crossed we get good weather. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think of that initial first review of what it has been like in the first 24 hours. A real honest overview of my experiences and sort of first impressions of the Nissan GT-R. It's getting the big thumbs up from me. If only I could reduce the seat height a little bit so that I could sit a little bit lower to the floor. But other than that, very happy. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you soon. Take care. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye, guys.